May all sentient beings have happiness and the cause of the happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of the suffering. May they never be parted from this blind bliss that is free from suffering. May they remain free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May all sentient beings have happiness and the cause of the happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of the suffering. May they never be part from this blind. May they remain in a state of equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those. May all sentient beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of the suffering. May they never be apart from the bliss that is free from suffering. May they remain in a state of equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. Emergency. Emergency. Happiness at work means mindfulness at work. So of course we can't achieve anything by only talking about it. So we have to apply the teachings, the solutions. So when we have obstacles, at that moment, people thinking that, thinking about prayers, mantras, all that, right? Because you have obstacle. So that's the best solution. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work right away. Maybe long term, or eventually, if you say some mantras and prayers, of course. But at this moment, when you have hard time at your work, your situation, whatever, the best solution is you have to develop your wisdom. Means you have to understand what is going on. That is your mantra. That is your prayer. Once you understand, means you are developing your wisdom, your intelligent, human intelligent mind. Then you understand what is going on. That gives you lots of good things. Like then you will find the right solution. What is right? What is wrong? How to handle this situation? How to fix this situation? To me, that's better than say some mantras and prayers. A mantra prayer, of course, also good, right? But in order to do that, you need certain capacity. some teachers, like people sick in Tibet, like, some teachers say mantras and they feel better. That means they have a connection, karmic connection. There are many reasons, karmic connection between sick people and teacher. Also, the teacher has a capacity, certain capacity to, to solve his problems. But if you, for example, don't say this prayer mantra usually, daily, then once you have a problem, then you say suddenly you say the mantra doesn't work. So at that kind of situation, you should develop your wisdom. And then not only talking about it, but you have to apply the solution, put into your practice and action, not only talking about it. But as I said in the teachings, there are many solutions that you need to understand. You need to know how to handle your own problem, suffering from your work. Today we're talking about work. So very common like emotion is like stress. If you bring your stress from your work into your home, usually people do that, right? You have hard day, hard time, at work, and then, your stress, you bring that in the evening from your work, bring to your home without recognizing, it's, as I said, like everything is whatever is like temporary problems. But if you don't recognize it's just a temporary emotion, then it can be big thing. It can be like coming home from work, and can be like perceiving, the teachers say that like a multicolored rope is a poisonous snake. If you don't recognize your emotion, such as like stress, anxiety, it's like a temporary emotion. But if you don't recognize that, then it can be like you perceiving multicolored robe as a poisonous snake. So what do you need? Teachers say that what you need to do is investigate with your awareness, so you can see things as they truly are. Then you will recognize that for example, the snake is actually just a rope, put together, different ropes put together in a certain way, So it looks like a snake, but it's not, right? It's not. If you investigate, if you recognize it, your temporary emotion, then it's not a big thing. So you will recognize that your stress is just a temporary emotion. This is another way to like let go, right? Let go of your problem. It's another solution, So you will, if you recognize this problem, this stress, it's just a temporary emotion. You create it. You create it in your mind due to situations being put together in a certain way. And if you bring your mindfulness That's why, like when I say it's very important to correct your motivation before you go to work, means like once you correct your motivation, your mindfulness is there. So if you bring your mindfulness from home to work, it can make your work easier, happier, for everyone. So that's why if you practice, if you practice mindfulness in your daily actions, then you will know how to enjoy your day and how to reduce your stress. Uh, so don't bring your stress from your work to home. That's the thing. You have to bring your mindfulness from your house to work. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because if you bring your stress from your work to home, then everything that night that, like you don't get good sleep, don't you will not get good time with your family or individual yourself because you bring your stress from your work. And another important thing is how to handle negative situation that you encounter while at work. So usually right, wrong, positive, negative, we all have that, right? So usually we believe that negative things are bad. That's how we believe, like negative is wrong. So therefore, it's bad. So we just don't want. We just want to get rid of them. Means like we try to ignore, right? We try to ignore them. Sometimes we have this negative, thoughts, and then we try to ignore them, do something else, like make yourself like busy. But your negative thoughts is still there. It doesn't matter. Whatever you do, you watch movie, you go somewhere. It's good temporarily. You kind of forget the negative thoughts, but it's still there. You're doing nothing actually for it. Uh, but instead, when like negative things are, if you develop this way, negative things are not always not a bad. Sometimes encountering negative things can be really a sort of blessing, because negative circumstance can bring awareness to something that you have been ignorant for a long time, right? So in that case, this negativity is kind of valuable. It's like your teacher say, like, hey, don't ignore me, do something, find a solution, develop your intelligent human mind, you know, develop your wisdom, something like that. Another way is negative thing is not so bad, it gives you a blessing. Mularipa's family, his he was in rich family. He was from rich family, and then he lost everything, his property, and that's why he killed these people. Well, that's very negative, right? But so that then he become an enlightened person, enlightened being. So if he didn't get that negative things, then he will not be able to practice and attain enlightenment. So sometimes negative, like it's really a blessing, so that you can change or you can develop your awareness, So it can be like a good teacher. So if you see it this way, then you can view the negative thing coming to you as positive, right? As positive. For example, sometimes you get sick. It brings you a genuine sort of renunciation mind. And because when you get sick, then you are thinking about your life, right? You never know what will happen, right? So if something happened to right away, then you will see it is impermanence, but it is also very precious. So that is renunciation. Sometimes teachers say, if you can't practice renunciation, genuine renunciation, teachers say, I hope you get sick. If when you're sick, then you really, especially like you sick, like sometimes people are sick like month by month, long time. Then you will renounce and, like you see, what is this? What is point? You will see like everything's pointless. If you have a meaningful life, then that's totally different situation, right? So what I'm saying is like, the negative thing is not always bad. There are many examples like that, So you should not always, sad about when you have negative thoughts or negative situations. Because, without negative things, there is no positive things. They are just, it's like right and left. There is a negative thing. That's why we have opportunity to find a positive thing. So again, I think in terms of how to relate it with work, no matter what job you have, it is necessary to do it with mindfulness, and again with a good motivation. If you have job, really important, do it with mindfulness and have good motivation. If you don't have job, then you have all kinds of choices, right? Or if you have job and that you don't like your job, makes you overwhelmingly like, stress and these things, you should change. Why you keep that job? Doesn't make sense. If this job not brings you happiness, then you spend half of your life and then you stuck with this job. There's no need to do it. You should change, find a different job. But be careful, because some work situation are very bad, right? Means like they totally harm others, are completely negative work. So I think you should not apply. If you want to change your job, you should not apply that kind of job, even if you make a lot of money from it. That's not the case. And when you don't have job, and people, sometimes say that, they people say they can't do certain work because in order to do it, you have to take a course in it, right? You have to go to school and study and all of that. Of course, if you have a degree, to do the work, it's very good. It's very good. Like me, like if I don't study Buddhist, then I can teach, right? It's good. But if you don't have a degree, then there's still, I think, lots of options. You don't need to sort of narrow your mind to only sort of apply to a very specific kind of job. You can do so many things that do not need that kind of degree. There are so many things you can do without take course in it. So one day I went to Lhasa, and then there was a Tibetan guy, and he has this like small box he's taken, and then this, he's always ask people clean, what do you call it, their shoes, you know, shoe shine, yes, shoe shine. You don't need any certain degree to do that. I told him, great job, you should do like this, this is better than nothing. I mean, this is really good. So I let him, work on my shoes, even I don't need it, but it's a good job. I said, usually Tibetans like very shy, they don't want to take that kind of job. And people think, oh, this person knows nothing because I can tell his job, right? That's not the case. So I think, more important thing is, we just need to, forget, kind of let go your hesitation and use your intelligent mind, So the best job is not always the one that requires an impressive, like degree, salary, but it seems that the more money people make, the more stress and less happiness they have. I mean, if I'm not wrong, maybe, it would be better to take a more, my point of view, like, simple job, where you can find happiness, right? So you have different jobs, some of you very happy with your job, some of you not. So if you're not, then you can change, because your life is more important than, I mean, this is your life, right? But the your work brings you unhappiness and difficult, then it's really, really difficult. I always say my favorite job is being a mailman, If I want a job, I will apply, being mailman.
What you wanted to be?
Huh? Mailman.
A mailman.
Yeah. With that job, you get, I like exercise, you get exercise. And then that seems like, a nice thing to do. Usually, like you can make you can make people happy, Usually people are happy when they get mail.
Oh, and you can read their postcards.
Yeah. It brings you more happiness, I think. It brings you more happiness than it's like very nice job. Maybe I should apply that job. Winter, it's a winter. Okay, it's winter now, so most people like to stay inside, right? I like outside. Work something outside. That I like that. So anyway.
You hinted a little bit about some work is not good quality work. Mm-hmm. You're harming others and things.
Oh, yes.
But seemingly, that's endemic in everything we do. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a tough one.
Yeah, we should not only thinking about how much money we can make. I think more important is like the happiness, enjoyment. I think that's the essence. That's the key point, So I think we should use our basic human intelligence to find a job that is best for us, When I'm saying like you should use, many job, right? Many job, they will not hire you if you don't have the certain degree. But if you use your human basic intelligence, you will find that the openness, the process of is this openness, awareness. Then your work becomes open and creative, and fundamentally you are capable of anything. That possibility is always there. So in order to have a healthy work life, again, you need a good motivation, you need mindfulness, you need confidence, you need patience, you need respect, which is your conduct. These are really important. It's for workers, Most of work is for money, right? Because money is a very important, very, very important part of our lives. Because money controls the whole process of our lives. And it also controls the whole world. So money is important. We think that if we have money, then we will be happy. So the question is, would money make you happy? For example, I mean, if somebody asks me, the money make you happy, I would say yes and no. You know, maybe yes, maybe not, because usually, like, for example, if you buy a very nice car, will you be happy for the rest of your life? Not necessarily, because usually when we get what we want, we end up just wanting something else. That's the thing. So again, I'm talking about happiness here, right? So again, what is happiness? What is happiness? We have to really recognize, understand what is happiness.
It seems like if it's not connected to the ego, that it's an aspect of emptiness, or at least.
Then there is no happiness.
What?
Then there is no happiness.
There's no happiness?
Happiness is, not inherently exist.
You're happy for no reason at all. You're just happy, regardless of what's happening to you.
Well,
It puts you out of the realm of the ego, doesn't it?
Could be a crazy person.
yeah. So there again, right? There are two kinds of happiness, though. Again, spiritual happiness, right? Spiritual happiness, you understand that, and then we have worldly happiness, right? We have worldly happiness. Spiritual happiness, worldly happiness. Spiritual happiness comes from when you improve your mind. Spiritual happiness comes from improve your mind, and that sort of improvement comes from. Okay, the first is spiritual happiness comes from improve your mind. Where does this improvement come from? Right? You have to think about that. We're talking about spiritual happiness. Spiritual happiness definitely improve your mind. A kind person, love, compassion, all these things comes from spiritual practice. But this is what you call it, improvement, right? Your improvement, your improvement. When I think about improvement, comes from sentient beings, because if you really think deeply, sentient beings give us the opportunity to put the teachings into practice, right? It's clear, very easy. Sentient beings, especially according to Buddhism, sentient beings are the foundation of our practice and the causes of happiness. Like as he said, help others, makes him happy. It's true. It's really true.
So the improved mind comes from worldly life?
Worldly life and based on sentient beings. When you think about a kind mind, you have to think about all sentient beings. They give you the opportunity to improve this kind of quality, So every single happiness we ever experience comes to us through the kindness of sentient beings. That's why, remember, Shantadeva was the way of Bodhisattva. He asks, why don't we take care of others, other sentient beings in the same way that take care of ourselves. Because spiritual happiness is achieving enlightenment. That's they say everlasting happiness. If you attain enlightenment, you have everlasting happiness. We don't know, right? We're not there yet, but I believe it, So everlasting happiness when you attain enlightenment. And for that, we need, for that everlasting happiness, we need all sentient beings. Now, that's just forget that. Okay, that's like spiritual happiness. But we have to focus more like what is worldly happiness? That's it. What we are looking for that. What is worldly happiness? Earlier I talked about money and explained how money cannot bring us the genuine happiness. If you believe like money will bring me like the genuine happiness, then we have different like definition of happiness. Maybe you believe that if you have money, then that's it, your happiness there. But if you don't, then where does worldly happiness come from? If it is come from money, then you have to investigate more. To me, I said, right, the worldly happiness come from, to me, is definitely satisfaction. Practice satisfaction. It comes from satisfaction. That's only my view, or maybe not for you, but my view. For example, when I need something, money or something, then I don't have, then what is that their unhappiness, like start, yeah, right? Or then I think about the satisfaction. Okay? If I need something, I don't have it, then it makes me like little bit uncomfortable, right? So I don't want to follow that, right? So then what is the solution? Me, think about satisfaction. I can totally let it go. So that's why I said my definition of happiness, worldly happiness, is it comes from satisfaction. Maybe I will talk about next Sunday. I will talk about maybe more satisfaction. But the satisfaction means like satisfaction is Buddhist point of view. They call it like middle way. Middle way. That is satisfaction. Definition of satisfaction. Middle way. Which means like freedom from two extremes. Not too much and not too little. Do you understand that? Because if you have too many things, it will make you suffer. Why? Because of attachment. Of course, if you have too little, that's not good either, because it makes everything difficult and uncomfortable, brings panic, So I think middle way. Middle way is the best. Means not too much, not too little. Means you should try to always be satisfied with what you have. So that's not difficult. The taking middle way is not difficult. Not too much, not too little. So it means like we should try not to be attached to so many things that are not necessarily in our life. For example, you don't need 2 cars, right? You don't need like 2 houses. That kind of, I'm talking that kind of things. I heard a Tibetan guy, a business person, who has 40 cars, okay? Then he needs 40 divers, right? And then he has to pay all of that. And I mean, like, what is for 40 cars? We don't need that kind of, things, If I'm you, like, I always go through my house, what I have, and then kind of go through, and I always keep things like that are very useful. The best way is like I use my things every day, then I keep it, then I need it. If I don't use every day, that's okay. Maybe I use it a month. That's also, you can keep it. Or maybe a year. Within a year, you use only once. Within a year, you can keep it. You can have it. But many people, you should go through your house and you never use it and still you keep it. What is the point, right? If you don't use it, that's what I'm saying. Be satisfied with what you have. And means like not attached to overly and too many things that are not necessary in your life. So if you have something like that, you never use like 2 years, 3 years, you don't need, just give away. Don't keep it.
Could Sangha members go through each other's house?
Yeah, you don't have to do that. I mean, that what I'm, there's two satisfaction, 2 different things satisfaction, practice satisfaction. Like Mularipa, we cannot do that, and we don't have to do that. But we need a practitioner that like this 21st century. If you are attached like overly, means like too many things that are not necessary in your life, you are not Dharma practitioner. To understand that, Buddha never said that you have to give up everything. Never say that. Buddha actually say that it depends your attachment. If you don't have, then you can have everything. So, but to me is like the sign, like if you keep so many things and never use it, that is your practice is not going very well. So I usually keep my things, very useful things. If I don't use it, then I don't need it. So that's my definition, right? The definition of worldly happiness. But, I'm not, you should know that I'm not discouraging you and discouraging your business. Because if you think you want to help others as much as you can. And if you want, there's a totally different situation though. If you want to practice generosity, that is a wonderful motivation. And then you should not be satisfied. Buddha said that, you should not be satisfied with your business, with your whatever you're doing, Because from this point of view, for example, like every dollar you make or every dollar you spend represent your generosity. So in this case, your money, for example, we are talking about here about money, right? So in this case, your money is the root of virtue, not root of suffering. So that's why when I say motivation is so important. So money is not just what do you call it, a physical thing, but it has much to do with your motivation, which is connected with your attitude towards it. In this case, when you take the point of view of your motivation, you don't think in terms of money at all. Instead, you sort of produce money in order to free other people who are thinking in terms of money. So in this case, the more you spend, more your generosity, generous will grow. That's because, it makes you happy. And because it makes you happy, because I think you are actually sort of destroying your desire through the practice of generosity. Then, you will see the value of your work and your money, and then you enjoy it. I think that's the thing. One time, the Buddha talked about 6 paramatas, 6 perfection, wisdoms, 6 paramatas, which is, right, practice action bodhicitta, right? We have aspiration bodhicitta, action bodhicitta is practice 6 paramatas, right? So one time Buddha talked about 6 paramatas and about how to practice action bodhicitta. And especially he talked about the benefit of generosity. That's the actually first paramita, one of the 6 paramatas, but generosity is the first what do you call it? Paramita, how to say in English? Perfection. First is generosity. So Buddha talked about the benefit of generosity. And then, of course, the monks, lots of monks there. Monks asked him, we don't have anything to give, so how should we practice generosity? If you don't practice generosity, then looks like you don't have the action bodhicitta, the mind. And the Buddha said, no, you can practice generosity through giving the teachings. That's your generosity. And Buddha said, what I'm talking here right now is this generosity is, giving things to other person is what we call, there is a 3 generosity, right? So the first is the material given, right? Material given. So that kind of, Buddha said, the material given is for ordinary people who like to practice generosity bodhicitta. That's why we have 3 different generosities, right? So teachers, monks, like as myself, I don't have to give material things to you. So I have to give you the teachings, and very importantly, me also like motivation. Then I practice, like generosity bodhicitta, the action bodhicitta. If I have good motivation and then teach. For you, ordinary people, like I'm like this. If you are not monk or whatever, so we call it ordinary people. Doesn't mean that your practice is worse than me. I'm not saying that, but for Buddha said, ordinary people. This is the giving things to other person is for the ordinary people. So so it's very important. So if you have that kind of motivation, then you don't have to practice satisfaction. So to develop, that is also satisfaction, I think, a bit, So develop to satisfaction, for example, from money. You don't have to cut down your money or, you don't have to burn your money, Instead, the whole thing is about your attitude toward money. Otherwise, if you don't have that kind of motivation of, helping others, then I think satisfaction is the key sort of for your happiness and definition of your happiness. So satisfaction doesn't mean that you have to stop. You have to stop whatever you are doing, or that you can't have many things. But it means not being overly attached to many things that are not necessary in your life. So the middle way is really good, because then you reduce the amount of stress and worry in your life, as well as your anger, your disappointment, your fear, your anxiety, all of that. That's why I give you this definition, satisfaction, definition, happiness, because the happiness is actually freedom from all these kind of things, right? Like fear, anger, stress, all that, So if you practice satisfaction, you are going to reduce all of these things. Because, the whole problem here arises from trying to make money out of desire and competition, right? Competition is a big thing. Competition is sometimes good, good for your business, good for your practice. But if you don't know how to do it properly, then the competition becomes the cause of jealous. And that jealous is cause of anger. So I think the point is learn how to keep and spend your money without too much desire. All we care about is money, but the problem is not the money, though. The problem is our desire and attachment. So, what I have been saying doesn't at all mean that money is not important. Okay? It is very important for us in our lives. The Buddha said, one time, he said to the monks, if you have less desire or attachment, then you can have whatever you want. So that's the thing. If your desire and attachment are out of control, then even if you have a small thing, it will make you really suffer. That's why we should learn how to how to do these things with sort of with practice satisfaction or with good motivation. Because as soon as you practice satisfaction and generosity, you're working with your desire and attachment. But on the other hand, it is very nice to have money, isn't it? So it depends you on your own motivation and desire and attachment and all that kind of things. So that's it. Now meditation. Do you remember when we the 7-point mind training? There is a slogan: "Great kindness of everyone." Do you remember that? We should meditate on that. Great kindness of everyone. Because actually, when you think about happiness, as I just said, right? So your happiness comes from sentient beings. And it's really nice if you think about like great kindness of everyone. This meditation will help you bring positive thoughts and happiness at work. I'm not saying you have negative thoughts, but this slogan has really helped me a lot. Great kindness of everyone. When you think about this slogan, it brings you positive thoughts, a kind mind. That's the benefit, you know. So when you have good thoughts, positive thoughts, then you have this, what do you call it, happiness at work. So I think this is another solution. When you have hard time at work, think about this slogan: great kindness of everyone. So just I said, right? I said we are connected right now. Whole world is connected each other. So respect each other is very important. So in order to practice, meditate on this slogan, gently turn your attention to what things you like to do for others. That's the thing. I like to help others through my teachings. That's I like that, right? So you have maybe different things. Maybe you like, whatever. Just to think about what kind of things you like to do for others and make them happy. Because, you don't like to think about something that you don't like to do. So you should think about what things you like to do for others, because you have to develop that more and more, that kind of positive thoughts, You should develop that good sort of attitude in your mind, and you should develop that more and more. So eventually you have a strong desire and wish for others to be free from suffering. So the first time when you meditate on this over and over again, many times, the first time you don't feel that, oh, I want to help. But this meditation, this slogan helps you, oh, I don't have capacity to help others, this and that, but I can do is I don't want harm others. physically, mentally, emotionally. That's the benefit of this practice. That is the foundation of help others. The first, in order to help others, first you need an idea or motivation that I'm not going to harm anybody, human beings, animals, the place, the world, That you can, right? If you don't do that, you harm others physically, mentally, emotionally. Then you say, I want to help others and I want to practice how to help others. Doesn't make sense. The first, we have to develop this kind of idea. Or helping others is not my first thing. My first thing is to not harm others. So, to me, it's like when I think about this slogan, that's what my first motivation is. Okay, maybe I don't have capacity to help others, but I have a capacity to not harm others. So that's very important. Then if you have that idea and that motivation burn into your work, wow, very good. Because you don't want to harm anybody. And also, eventually, then, you have a strong sort of desire, wish for others free from suffering. And then, eventually, you have capacity, and then you do it, something like you act and to help others. So it's very important. This first we have to develop strong desire. This strong desire is your compassion. That is your compassion. So, so when you meditate, you should think about the things that you like to do for others, and think about how to make a commitment at the same time. Or I like to do this, so I will make commitment. I want to do this at the same time. So, and that you should think about that. And then you have other thoughts, and when your attention wanders away, bring it back, and then don't think, and then try to just relax there. That's one. And second, if you want something different, second your choice option is practice with mantras. You should visualize. You should practice mantras without saying them. It's really good. Without saying them, without which is what we call is mental recitation of mantra. It means mind. D means like recitation. So, like you should focus on the mantras, like mentally. Mentally. This is kind of very good mindfulness practice. Different one. Right? Mentally means like you recite the mantra very silently, Don't say loud or, in your mind, mental recitation. So in this way, you are also learn how to bring your mindfulness into situation. So this will help you to remember mindfulness during your daily activities. So for example, you say Ah, Hong. This mantra everybody knows, right? Ah, Hong. It represents your body, speech, and mind. It represents Buddha's body, speech, everything. It's a very strong and meaningful mantra, profound mantra. So you don't say like but you say like in your mind, you just focus on the Hong, like mental recitation. It's really good sort of object for your meditation, mindfulness meditation. Do you understand? You can do that, or you can do the other one, the slogan, great kindness for everyone. You can practice that in this section, okay? For a few minutes.